and welcome to Manned Up Conversations, where we connect with evolving men to discuss issues around masculinity and manhood, and also provide tools to help us be better for our society.
This is a living experience I'm having, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm supposed to be experiencing and learning from. In between that comes my solution.
Yeah.
So you're telling somebody that's struggling, right, to even wake up in the morning, that what he perceives to be his solution is his problem.
Man.
You've already failed. You've already failed.
Man.
You've already failed.
Man.
And that's what the family members and the friends and everybody don't get, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not that this is a bad person, right? Somebody that's addicted to substances is already struggling to do life.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not saying that they wake up to go use, right? But the fact that they wake up is a curse, all on its own.
Hella happy today, man. Excited. Actually, before we hit up the mics, I always enjoy spending a little bit of time with my guests just to get to know them a little. And man, today I actually got a surprise of my life, man. I'm actually sitting with someone that I grew up on. I grew up on a lot of your music, a lot of your production. And I'm like, man, I'm sitting with the man, the legendary Ootz. Brother, man, welcome, bro.
What's happening, brother? So good to be here. So good to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for being here, bro. You're a legendary music man, and in a lot of people's eyes, and I'm sure people haven't heard of Ootz or seen Ootz in a very long time, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's part of the reason we're having this conversation today, man, talking about something very deep, man, that's actually ripping our country apart. I have experience with it a little bit because I have a cousin who's actually strung out on the streets and he's on Nyaupe, quite heavy, right? And, if you look at party culture, drug culture, and just like how everything in society is happening, coming or talking about drugs and addiction in particular, man, it's just like a huge melting pot of just like all kinds of stuff going on.
Sure.
So what's your story, man, and your relationship, with addiction?
Okay, my story is I'm an addict in recovery today. It started from the age of 13. That was my first drink, right? Wow. And my experience was my disease, the addiction. It'll take the chaos that I experience and glamorize it. You know what I mean? It glamorizes the chaos, and therefore I don't see it as actually these are warning signals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A blackout doesn't happen every day, you know what I mean? But towards the end, it was if I'm not blacking out, I'm not drinking okay.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Wow. If I don't reach that point where I'm drinking for oblivion, then I'm not doing the job. So, around 2017, something happened in my life. Shit hit the fan. Can I swear on this podcast? I don't know.
Of course, man.
Okay. Yeah, shit hit.
Well, I mean, we're not trying to offend people.
Yeah.
Man, express yourself.
We're gonna try to avoid offending anybody. I don't want my mans here to be getting hate mail who's that guy? No.
But bro, express yourself, man.
But shit hit the fan, and in the natural way that it would happen for an addict, shit hits the fan, and something just said to me this can't be my life, you know. Yeah.
Man. So, you talk about shit hitting the fan. You talk about drinking to oblivion, man. When I look at that, right, and talking about referring to culture, right, and party culture and all of that, there's this big thing now, and it's bottles, drugs, all of these things that's excessive.
Yeah.
And I think moderation is now kind of gone now, and we're doing everything on such a high level, but you don't think about the people around your circle and how their relationship with these substances is. And how did that kind of happen for you?
Let me correct something. A lot of people think that. Look, let me put it this way: an alcoholic does not know moderation. Does not know moderation. An alcoholic sees the alcohol or sees the drugs as a way to escape, right? So let me give you a bit of background of myself, right? I think my earliest memory of actually just being on this planet without alcohol or substance and suffering. I must have been like 11 years of age, right? And the truth is, not being able to fit in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting bullied at school, you know, falling short of what the social hierarchy at my school at the time. You know what I mean? And realizing that I'm at the bottom. I mean, like, it's kind of hard for a young boy, right? On Valentine's Day, and you know, you're even too scared to give that rose. By the way, you're not getting a chocolate. You're not getting a rose. You know what I mean? You're that guy. You know, like, you know, like, people would much rather prefer that pretend that you don't exist. Man. And it's not that that's what's happening. That's what it feels like to that individual. That at that moment in life when he's supposed to be getting some form of identity, or let me talk from my perspective, me. When I'm busy trying to formulate and understand who I am and what's my role on this planet and what's actually going on, why this is life, okay, so I'm living and what's supposed to be happening in this living, and you know, like, and seeing other kids, like, just like they make it look easy, right? Socializing, they make it look easy, like hanging with the homies. They make it look easy, like speaking to girls, and you know what I mean? Yeah. And like, for me, it's not easy. You know what I mean? And by the time I get to the age of 13 with that type of spiritual condition, I call it a spiritual condition because it also affects my emotional nature. Do you know what I mean? It also, it's that internal voice inside of me that's telling me constantly I'm not good enough. Constantly I'm not as cool as that kid. Constantly that I don't deserve. Constantly that, like, I'm less than, right? So by the time I'm 13 and I have that first drink, you see, for me, alcohol, for me, what happened was, like, all of a sudden, like, yo, man, I can dance. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, anybody that went to high school with me knows, like, I didn't partake in sport. I'll trip over my own knock-knees, but after a drink, you know what I mean? The knock-knees disappear, dog. You know what I'm saying? Who cares what's in my pocket? You know what I mean? Who cares what I look like? You know what I mean? I'm awkwardly tall. Who cares if I'm awkwardly tall? They won't like my jokes. It's always awkward when I try to crack jokes. All of a sudden, who cares if you don't like my jokes? You know what I mean? So for an alcoholic, alcohol does something for me. You know what I mean? The substances, they did something for me. They didn't do anything to me. Do you know what I mean? They helped me cope with a life which I didn't even know how to live. Right? And then as soon as that hangover is done and there's no alcohol in place, guess who shows up? It's that same 11-year-old kid that doesn't have any coping mechanisms or any experience or any even, like, courage to live. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about oblivion drinking, like, look, in the end, like, my experience, I can only share my experience. Exactly. In the end, like, waking up in the morning was a schlep if I didn't have drugs or alcohol around me. Man. Do you know what I mean?
You needed that to, like, boost your day.
Just to get out of bed. Wow. Just to get out of bed. You know what I mean? And if there was no plan for that, I wasn't getting out of bed.
So what, like, you'd stay home, what, be on the phone trying to get the next hit, or how did that work?
Dog, e-wallets. Yo, Ma, I got an interview. Please send an e-wallet. Like, I think one time I told my mom that I popped 4 tires on my car. Please send an e-wallet. You know what I mean?
So there's like a manipulation that comes with, like, okay, let me try and finesse some people to get that fix. Yeah.
Because when you're now in that point of, well, it's referred to as a culture of addiction, right? All that manipulation you just mentioned, all the lies, all the deceit, all the stuff that we do, they become my tools. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
To get into the next bag.
Yes, sir.
And I stayed out there long enough to actually normalize that type of life, living and that type of existence. You know? I stay out there long enough to actually think that that's the only way I need to get through life, by being dishonest. And by the way, there's also the delusion of what I think I am. Right? When I say delusion, in the sense that, like, look, when I got out of high school, I went into the music industry, right? And so with that mild success that I experienced there, I started believing that I'm important. I started believing that, you know, like I used to say to people, like, to be the man, you have to be in demand. Do Do you know what I mean? And because of all that demand that I was experiencing at a certain period in my life, you know, even when that demand's not happening, I'm still feeling that delusion, you know? It goes back to that one quote by Jay-Z where he says, like, fame is the worst drug known to man. It's stronger than heroin. Do you know what I mean? I start believing, like, man, I'll be telling people, like, if you go to any studio in Joburg and say my name, you'll probably get free studio time. They'll just be excited to have your recording over one of my beats. You know, that's the, like, type of stuff I'm
like
walking.
The ego was, like, getting big, man, out of hand.
Ego. Ego.
But it's all fed by this substance, whether this alcohol and stuff you were taking.
Exactly.
Right?
And I can't see that my chosen field of career, right? My love and passion for hip hop music, it only puts me closer in the hotbed of a lifestyle which is conducive to that type of living.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately for me, the beast needs to be fed daily. You know, hourly at times, like depending on what drug I'm using, like, yo, I can't afford to run out because then shows up, guess who? The kid that still doesn't know how to make do and cope with life. You see, I've been rapping since high school, right?
Yes, sir.
So that 13-year-old kid, he has a drink and all of a sudden he's freestyling with his homies, there's ciphers and he gets a little bit of validation. All of a sudden I'm a part of something. Right? We're passing around chords, we're passing around joints, we're freestyling. And I don't want to call it harmless fun, but then it's not like we're committing crimes at that time.
Sure.
Okay, the crime is underage drinking, of course.
It starts off quite innocent, right?
Yeah. The crime is underage drinking.
Yeah.
The crime is the abuse of marijuana as a substance. You know, but it wasn't like, wake up on a Monday morning and I need to get high to get to school.
Yes,
or I need to be drunk in business economics, which I've been drunk in business economics.
Wow. So this is in high school, bro.
This is
You were
high
hitting
school.
class like
This is high school.
Yeah.
And you mentioned culture, like the drinking culture at the school I went to, I won't mention the name. The drinking culture for the circle of people, of kids I was in, it was a weekend thing. Every weekend, like, look, I get home Sunday, 9 a.m.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
And you've been out drinking, since like Friday?
Since Friday night.
Wow.
Or maybe I could get home Saturday, 4 a.m. and I wake up at 11 a.m. and I go do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is the person that shows up in this world, right? And yes, it's recreational in the sense that we're having fun. I've not yet experienced the consequences of drinking and using in that extent. You know, like I'm still in school. There's still a great trajectory for my future. I'm still gonna go to college. I'm still gonna do this. I'm still gonna do that. I'm still young. I'm allowed to burn the house down while I'm young. Do you know what I mean? But waking up at 32 years of age and realizing that, oh shit, I never finished my qualification. Right? I've got a seed here. I got my son here. You know what I mean? I haven't been working, like not even in the music industry. In fact, like to be dead honest, like a lot of the relationships I created in the industry when I was coming up, towards the end, I was shitting on my craft. You know what I'm saying? There was a point where I was charging 4 to 8K a beat, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm charging like $1,000 for 2, 500 for 3. You know, just because my dealer doesn't care how I get the money.
As long as he's getting paid.
As long as he's getting paid.
That beast, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I gotta feed the beast, not in a month's time, not in 6 months' time when you release the album.
So right now, man.
Right now, dog. Do you know what I mean?
You needed that to kind of do your work as well, right?
Exactly. So I'm Ootz The Afronaut, right? Ooh. And the delusion I created around that character was, and I say delusion because I honestly believe that so long as I had something in me and there was music and there was a turntable and there was something to work on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see sound. You know what I mean? It's not a lie that substance will increase one's creativity.
Yes, sir.
Right? But what happens when the substance itself, right? You need a stronger substance. When it starts it's not
doing anything.
Exactly. It's like imagine somebody with chronic pain, right? Like meaning pain for the rest of their lives. Today he's on 2 painkillers, right? In 6 months' time, he goes back to his doctor's like the painkillers ain't working anymore.
Yeah.
He has to bump, the doctor says bump up to 3, right? 6 months after that, the doctor's like, bump up to 4. You know, bump up to 6. Actually, let's change you up. Let's switch you up. Let's put you on this. You know, so it's like, I used to get drunk on 3 beers. Next thing I'm getting drunk on 6 beers. Next thing I'm getting drunk on 12. Next thing I'm getting drunk on, like, you know what I mean?
It just keeps on adding up, man.
They call it a progressive illness.
Progressive illness.
It's a progressive illness addiction. Do you know what I mean? It progresses in every single way. So my consumption becomes more, but so do the consequences of my drinking and my using. The consequences of that become way heavier. Especially now, like I said, now I have a seed, right? And I haven't been working, so rent isn't regularly being made. I'm with a woman that, look, actually, I don't want to talk about her. That's her story, you know? But like, the reality is that I can't even afford to fend for my seed. You know what I mean? And I don't even see that, like, the guy who was previously nominated for Producer of the Year, Song of the Year, who's been in the magazine, that's been on the TV, that's been on the radio, that does music for movies, etc., etc. That guy doesn't even exist anymore.
Man.
I'm just using my craft as a way to get to my next fix.
Man.
Do you know what I mean?
So, bro, that's so deep, man. And you know, you refer now to, you said it's a progressive illness. And in the beginning, you also mentioned that, you know, it's a disease, right? And whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh, man, that's such a crazy way to kind of see addiction, right? That it doesn't, you know, addiction is like when people treat it, you know, you don't actually treat the person who's addicted. You know, we're trying to attack the addiction.
The addiction itself.
That the problem is with that, it's like, nah, dude, there's an underlying thing in the person who's participating in that addiction or whatever, partaking in that drug or whatnot. And now, do you think we get it right, though, when we're trying to talk to people who are addicted, or we perceive that, hey, man, this person is struggling with this and that, and we're telling them that, hey, man, stop doing this thing? Are we getting it right? Are we actually talking to them in a language that they really understand? Because they're dealing with something much deeper than just a drink or a smoke, you know? So do we approach people in the right sense and even trying to fix them or get them help?
Remember I said to you that for me, alcohol and those substances, they do something for me. They do nothing to me. That's how I get through life. You understand? That's how I... Job loss, get a drink. Breakup, get a drink. Bafana loses, get a drink. Bafana wins, get a drink. Do you know what I mean? It's hot. Get a drink. It's cold. Get a drink. Do you know what I mean?
So it's an excuse for any type of setting. You just want to drink because you want to be in your own element, right?
There's a deep failure in the desire to have a living experience. There's like a short circuit somewhere between I'm supposed to be living and this is what I'm supposed to be experiencing. In between that, right? Because I've normalized this behavior of alcohol will give me the courage, Dutch courage, they refer to it. You know what I mean? Cocaine will help me be more productive. Weed will help me be more creative. Pills will help me be more focused. Whatever the story may be, right? It's like the difference between this is the living experience I'm having, right? And what I'm supposed to be experiencing and learning from. In between that comes my solution. So you're telling somebody that's struggling, right? To even wake up in the morning, that what he perceives to be his solution is his problem.
Man.
You've already failed. You've already failed.
Man.
You've already failed.
Man.
And that's what the family members and the friends and everybody don't get, right?
Yes,
it's not that this is a bad person, right? Somebody that's addicted to substances is already struggling to do life.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not saying that they wake up to go use, right? But the fact that they wake up is a curse, all on its own. Do you understand what I'm saying? the fact that, oh shit, I did an overdose.
Oh man.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh man.
The fact that they have to experience that heartbreak and actually cry about it, especially, we're on manned-up conversations. How many men can say that they're willing to embrace the idea that that girl is gone?
Oh man. Not many.
Not many can say. Not many can say, "Hey, let me call the pastor. Let me call my meditation teacher. Let me call my psychologist. Let me call my psychiatrist, because here I'm in trouble."
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying these things don't happen to normal people. It's just that for an addict, in between the learning stands the one that's the one thing that hinders the learning.
Man.
The one thing that hinders the experience. And I'll tell you, like, look, I'm 5 years sober. Tomorrow.
Wow.
We'll mark 5 days.
Congrats, bro.
No, thank you.
Congrats, bro. Yeah.
Tomorrow will mark 5 years of me not putting a drink or a substance in my body, any form of mood or mind-altering substance, right? The truth is, my first 3 or 4 years having to like send my first CV was hell, right? Having to go through heartbreak, was hell.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Having to get a job, Like I said, if Kaizer Chiefs wins, I'm celebrating. So having to get a job, I have to watch myself for too much excitement.
Man,
you know?
You can't be.
You know, because next time
if I get too excited, I'm gonna end up.
Let me pop these bottles. You know what I mean?
Man.
And then it's back to square one. You know what I mean? So like, it's for somebody to say to somebody, this thing that helps you does something to you, you've already lost the game. And like, until that person experiences that desperation, and it comes, because like, let's tell the truth, how do you fix a hangover? With another drink. With another drink. So like, is your whole entire life gonna be fixed with another drink? Do you know what I mean? And also, another thing I need to stress, not everybody can be an addict.
Yes, sir.
You know, there's 3 things. I'm trying to avoid like mentioning too much from the literature of the 12-step fellowships. They say that we have to...
Come on, man, drop the bars for us.
No,
drop the bars for us.
No, one of the traditions is that we need to remain anonymous at the level of press, radio, and films. Okay. You understand? Okay. If I say I'm part of this fellowship and then next week, epic...
Exactly.
Like relapse, right? Like epic meltdown, right? They're gonna say, oh, but this is the guy that says he's from these people, right? And somebody that could get help, like myself, who's been helped by these people up until now, right? Well, look at that and like, but here's this guy.
But look at him.
So I'm not gonna mention I'll mention 12-step fellowships.
Bless.
You know, you can Google that, and then if you feel like you have a problem with any form of addiction, there's a 12-step fellowship for alcohol, there's a 12-step fellowship for narcotics, there's a 12-step fellowship for cocaine, there's a 12-step fellowship for sex. Yeah. Sex is an addiction.
It's a crazy addiction.
Yeah.
That's a big addiction, and it's actually very hidden. Addiction, that one.
Yeah.
You know, because of how we talk about sex, like
exactly.
But we don't actually see it.
Exactly.
This guy is like bagged, I don't know how many.
Exactly.
You know? And what do you do at home with that as well?
Exactly.
Man.
And as men, right? Like it's that age-old conversation that why is it when a woman sleeps with a lot of people, she's a slut, but when a man sleeps with a lot of people, he's the man, he's a player. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying my best not to like.
I know, man. I can see.
Do you know what I mean?
I wanna, and I'm sorry to cut you there.
Yeah.
You mentioned something now about support, right? And this kind of thing in between what you're experiencing and what you really need to learn.
Yeah.
And having that support system. And you mentioned, your meditation teacher. You mentioned psychiatrist, psychologist.
Yeah.
And those are very professional people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I want to use that professional, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my friends can help me out. They can talk to me or whatever.
Sure.
But someone who's actually dealt with the stuff and knows, the real sort of effects of addiction and the underlying issues in there can really help you through it, right? Whereas a friend, it's like, yeah, I can tell you today, but it also comes from a place of, I don't want to say our friends judge or whatever, but then it's got a bit of judgment to it. Like, no, you're better than this. Where it's like, I think someone professional would give you tools to actually like empower you. I don't need to do that. Right? So how important is that that structure?
Okay, so
in a professional sense,
in the professional
and not
sense,
just like general talk.
So in mid 2017, like my consequences had piled up, and I was held actually down the road, Ramberg police station for 4 days, right, for something which I would have never committed, right. And I remember for the first time in my life, like I've been walking around, especially since I'm a rapper, right? I've got this whole thug ego, thug bravado, you know. Now I'm in jail, right?
Yes,
like now Super Thug has to call his mom from jail and like, Mom, please come and get me. They're gonna lock me up. Please, Lord, don't let me go to Sun City. Man. Look how pretty I am, God, you know. Like, you know what I mean? I swear to God, you put some cops here.
Everything
exactly. I swear to God, you put some cops here, my man. No, all of that goes out the window. You know what I mean? Even this whole idea that I am God. Even this whole idea of I'm the man. It goes out the window so long as like your life is really threatened, you know. And I had to call my mom. And she came and thank God bless her soul, man, because she went through a lot with me. Actually, my entire family went through a lot with me. And I had to call them from Ramberg holding cells, and you know they did what they did so that I didn't have to go to jail. But when I came out of there, I thank God for that moment, that 4 days they held me, right? Because in that 4 days, what I did do was I prayed for the first time, like I said, you know, and I asked for help.
Yes, sir.
I asked a power greater than myself
that
I didn't quite understand or even believe in. You know what I mean? But I knew like something different had to happen here, and I don't know what it looked like. Right? And I didn't know what it looked like. 2 weeks later, okay, this is a part of the story, which a week later, I end up at a 10-day silent retreat, right? Learning how to meditate. And that year, I'd been homeless for the most part of that year. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was out here like, look, do they have a warm bed? Yes. Do you get 3 meals a day? Yes. Where is it? It's in the middle of Worcester in Cape Town, and look, it's beautiful, right? And I went there and I sat for that 10 days, right? And I think while I'm watching all these other people meditate on like day 4 and they're going into deep meditation, me, when I try to meditate, what I do is I go into euphoric recall. Euphoric recall
Can you break that down? Yeah.
Euphoric recall is the process of like just reliving your entire, well, for me that day was reliving my entire ritual of what it is to call my dealer, go meet him downstairs, run back upstairs, sit in my room, put that drug on the pipe or that line on the table, and light it up, and I got high, just in meditation, and I was like, I'm fucked.
Jeez,
like I can recreate this off of just my thinking.
Man. So it's like ingrained in me.
It's insane.
Oh.
It's insane. And I come out of that meditation and I'm terrified because I just realized what happened.
Yeah.
This thing is so powerful for me, I don't even need drugs to get high. Right? And I'm sitting on that mat and I look around and all of a sudden all these white people I'm meditating with, they look like doulas, my man.
Wow.
Do you understand? Like,
no, dude.
Oh, I remember where the phones is at. I remember where the wallets are kept.
Yeah.
How do I get the key from this guy? How do I do that? Right? How do I do that? And I'm thinking, I got $500. I'm in the middle of the Western Cape or the Eastern. I'm in the middle of the Western Cape. Yeah, I think Worcester's Western or whatever. I'm in the middle of the Western Cape. And then I remember coming out of that room and I looked, right? You could see this long winding road for like 4 kilometers. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, if I could just get to that main road. If I stole something, right, I would have to run for 4 kilometers to get to the main road and wait for a taxi that I don't even know. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
and I hear lions and the lions go, "Ooh!" And I'm like, there's also lions here? And I'm like, actually, let me just chill. Do you know what I mean?
Good decision, man.
But that period, I was also presented with the idea that, because when you're in silent meditation, you can't lie to nobody. So whatever the bravado and whatever the story was that I told myself, the delusion, now it's only going on in my head. And I have to ask myself questions and answer them for myself. It's like, no, Ootz, what did you do for it? There's nothing going on in your life. You have these big dreams of one day be standing out there receiving a Grammy Award. What you've been doing was you're fucking horribly addicted. You know what I mean? What's really going on here is that, like, you're probably going to end up, you just came from jail, you're probably going to end up dead or back into a proper, like, you're going to go to Sun City, dog.
Man.
If your life continues the way it's continuing. You know what I mean? And like even I have a friend who, his studio was right around the corner from where you stay here. Like literally this was Greenhouse Productions. You know what I mean? And he passed on about a year before I got clean, right? And I remember in one meditation, I'm sitting there and I'm like, yo, dog, like, my life is a mess. And, you know, I just lost custody of my son and I've been homeless. I just came out of jail. And I'm really like counting down this shit from a very sober perspective because there's nothing in me. And it's almost like, this might sound like, you know, for don't lock me up in Tara, please. You know what I mean? But like, it might sound crazy. But like, he appeared in my meditation. He said, he's going to be okay. Man. But that realization was, I've never properly mourned my homie. Do you know what I mean? I never properly mourned. And it was like just one of those. And then a week later after that, right? So 2 weeks out of jail, on the 17th of July, 2017, I walked into rehab. Man. Right?
Man. And this is, you're done the silent meditation, right? Yeah.
So some of the stuff which they speak about in the first step, which is that we admitted we're powerless over our addiction and our lives have become unmanageable. Powerless in the sense that, like, yo, for me, there's three things that make an alcoholic and an addict, right? Yeah. Firstly, it's the spiritual malady. It's a maladjustment of the spirit. Remember I told you about that kid that didn't know how to fit in? Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's the obsession of the mind. After normalizing alcohol to give me the courage to speak to girls, and you know what I mean? Whenever I start feeling fucked up spiritually, I go immediately. My brain says, how do I fix this? Oh, you know how to fix this. Tops is open. Tops is open. Yeah. Obsession of the mind, right? The idea that I should be fixing anything, right? The idea that I need to be fixed. Do you know what I mean? And then the third part of it is the allergy of the body. And this is the part where, you know what? This is where the families and the friends experience their alcoholic or addicted homies or brothers and sisters, right? The allergy of the body is that thing, like, remember there used to be Pooza Thursday? Sure. My Pooza Thursday ended on Tuesday. Wow. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, Thursday, we're going to meet at this bar, we're going to drink, right? We're going to drink, and then when I got 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, you're going to be like, you know what, I got to go home to the wife. I got to go home. I got work tomorrow. I got a big presentation tomorrow. And you leave Ootz there, right? And then you see me at another club Friday, but I'm still in the same gear, right? Then you see me on Saturday, right? At so-and-so's bride. In the same gear you saw me in on Thursday, right? And then you see me on Sunday after church, right? And I'm at another club. I'm at the whatever, the Sunday, whatever.
Whatever Sunday markets.
Whatever party, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then on Monday, I'm not even answering my phone anymore because you know what? I've not stopped drinking. You see, for an alcoholic is somebody that firstly, when he drinks, can't have one. And secondly, doesn't have the power to say, I'm going to stop at 3.
You just keep it going.
And that doesn't happen to everybody. It does not happen to everybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you asked about like the treatment professions. For me, I needed that. I needed to be removed from my immediate environment because I did not know that subconsciously that my entire life had been sorted in a way where I could live and stay high. I could live and stay drunk. You know what I mean? From my relationship to what my time in the studio to when I'm on stage to after the stage to, you know what I mean? Everything that I do ultimately is conducive to my addiction. Man. You know what I mean? Man. And there's children involved in this. Do you know what I mean?
And now
they have no option.
Yeah.
They have no choice. Do you know what I mean? They're just on this wave, and unfortunately for me, I'm thinking it's a wonderful wave, right? It's a roller coaster. For them, it's a nightmare. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Because you're only thinking drugs and getting high, bro. They thinking like, what's going on with Dad, man? Where is he?
This thing fixes me.
So I want to talk to now inheriting addiction, right? I mean, I read or I actually listened to something on TED Talks. I'm actually gonna link that in the description so you guys can check that out. We say that you inherit addiction, but I mean you can have a dad who's addicted to whatever, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the seeds from that man are also gonna be addicted, right?
Yeah.
But in popular terms or in popular belief, you would assume that, well, if your dad did cocaine, then, you know, DNA or whatever is passed through and then you would get those same kind of addictions. You know, so could you say, like, what's your understanding of that? Is there such a thing even?
Look, my parents are not addicts. They're not alcoholic or anything like that, right? I don't know why. You know what I mean? I don't know why I'm like this. Do you know what I mean? The truth is, for somebody that's looking for recovery, it's their personal journey, right?
Yes,
and when I start partaking in my personal journey of recovery, right? I can't identify a family member in my immediate family, my dad and my mom. I can't identify that in them. But I see it in some of my family members, my uncles, maybe a couple cousins. Do you know what I mean? So I don't want to speak on the DNA aspect because it's not my experience. It's not my experience. But then I would not suggest to somebody that knows that both parents be alcoholic or be addicted to a substance in any form, right? I wouldn't suggest to somebody that grows up in that place to actually go test the theory whether or not it's genetic. Because you might find out that it is.
Find out, yo, man. They know, man.
You know?
Now we're like, oh, Brad, we done send people the wrong way.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And another thing is, like, for an alcoholic, right? You spoke about moderation earlier. Look, if I'm moderating my drinking, I'm not enjoying it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Man.
And that, in other words, no blackout, no waking up with strange people in my bed, no, do you know what I mean? Then I didn't achieve the goal of what the alcohol is supposed to do for me. You know what I mean?
Man.
And I only mention that because, like, these are the dangers of actually finding out. You will find out. You will
keep
find
playing
out.
around with those things, you'll definitely find out.
And the thing is, a lot of people will be like, oh, but I can't be like my dad. Oh, no, but I'll never be like my mom. But everything that's going on in your life, you got to ask yourself. Like, I can't say to you, hey, dog, I think you have a problem. You're going to tell me to get fucked. Do you know what I mean?
Like, what are you talking about, man?
But you will find out, right? When you take a proper stock of your life, right? That everything that's going on turns to the possibility that I might have the same problem as mom and dad. There are people that are of that belief. It's not my experience, so I can't co-sign it or say. And by the way, like, I'm only going to be sharing entirely off of my experience.
So, listen, man. I like and I appreciate you for saying that because a lot of times when people tune into like platforms like these or you read, you thinking it's a general statement.
This guy's a specialist and he's everything he says is right. No. Yeah, like when it comes to that, whether it's genetic or not, there is a belief, there is a lot of support of that belief. It's just not my experience and therefore I can't. But like, you gotta
don't try to find out, man. Don't try to find out.
No, unfortunately,
but you can read about it. Though.
Unfortunately, if you want to find out, you're gonna find out. You know, if you want to find out with the basis that you're not gonna be like your mom or your dad, you'll still find out.
Man,
you know what I mean?
That's wild, bro. Because you know it's and other things that come to mind now, and I think of addiction. Right? I think of habits. Right? So when do habits actually now how do we separate those two now? Because a habit is like, we're just doing it, we're having fun, we're having a few drinks.
Sure.
It's something that you can kind of maintain, right?
Sure.
Or you can kind of be like, I can go a few days or weeks or months without this thing.
Sure.
But it's one of my habits, right?
Sure.
Whereas addiction is, I think it's a little bit like, man, I need it like every hour.
Look, an addiction is, like I said, the first step says that we're powerless. Powerless means that I don't have a choice. Do you know what I mean? I'm actually in proper service to alcohol or to whatever substance it is. Do you know what I mean? I don't have a choice. And that's where it's like, it's heartbreaking because you're telling this person that he's killing himself, but like this thing does something for them. Do you know what I mean? And they don't have a choice. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a lot of people want to say, but don't you see how much good you got going on in your life? Don't you see your potential? Let me tell you something. The reason why they say alcoholics and addicts have so much potential is because they never fucking used any of it.
So it's like all the potential is just sitting.
It's just sitting, untapped potential. The time we use our potential is when we're getting to our next, is how we get to our next fix. Do you know what I mean? And like my experience coming across people that are in addiction, like every single one of these human beings that are trying desperately to turn their life around, they are brilliant people. Creatively, they're out the box thinkers. They're like, it's amazing the shit that they've done, right? But they all end up at a point where, look, I've actually just been in service too. Do you know what I mean? Alcohol's been running my life. And when alcohol's been running my life, it's making decisions for my relationship, it's making decisions for my kids, where they go to school, whether or not they go to good schools or shitty ass schools. It's making decisions for the job I do, it's making decisions for whether or not I make it to work. It's making decisions for the type of women I choose, it's making decisions for, like, it's so subtle. And society says, Osile, right? She's the problem, right? Or even worse, right underneath that, like, that's the black man scenario. That's black man scenario, right?
I don't like that, man, because it's actually like such a, like, giving up on things. So like, I'm loyal. Like,
let me tell you something, dog. I've been to preachers, pastors, sangomas, right? To my family trying to get me help, right? Preachers, pastors, sangomas, psychologists. Do you know what I mean? My family trying to get me help. And thing is, I could not verbalize or understand that I have this thing in me that makes it absolutely necessary for me to escape my human experience. I have this thing. I'm the type of person that wakes up in the morning and needs to use. That was in the end. At some point, it was. It's not like I was 13 and boom, I was homeless. Do you know what I mean? it was progressive, slow, steady progression. You know what I mean? But every time I showed up with these people and they asked me what's going on, I'm like, it's my girl, she's this. It's my family, they put too much pressure on me. It's the government. You know, I even hated Jacob Zuma, my man. I don't even know the guy.
But Jacob
Zuma's fucked up the economy. I can't get a job. You know what I mean? And the truth is, I'm not even looking for a job. E-wallet interview. E-wallet meant, I need to go see my dealer in 15 minutes just to keep me in addiction. You know, to protect my addiction. You can't tell me that thing that fixes me is the problem, right? And I show up in this treatment center, my family's, they're full of me. They're tired of me, you know? But a real addict, their family throws them in rehabs because they don't know what to do with them. Preachers, pastors, everybody failed. And that's because I couldn't be honest about what I was going through. And they were very quick to say, when 1976, hey, bahatile tafisi, kana go uprising, bahatile tafisi, papa bahatile tafisi, mama, since that day, and I'm lawyer ka, bana babona. You understand? It relieves me of the responsibility
of dealing
with me. Now my family's taking my gang money to Abo Gog Mang, Gog Mawaza, Gog Mang, Doctor, Professor, everybody, you know. And not once could I tell them the truth. So now, busy can carry lots of CEO ni. Busy can Joe, what Joe? Joe, no Joe. Joe, what's the lay And
so
because,
you've been everywhere, Joe, just trying to get help.
dog, I could not tell them the truth. So when I got to that rehab, and they say the best weapon for an addict or an alcoholic is another addict or another alcoholic.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow.
Because we see through the bullshit.
Yes,
I'll ask
sir.
you 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
So what's your drug of choice? You say, I like weed. So can you have 1 joint? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I smoke about 4 or 5 a day, or I'm smoking every hour. For the honest ones, when I put out one with another one. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I had one with another one. You know? Those are the real ones, the ones that we see in these rap songs, right?
Sure.
Oh, okay, and then when you stop, can you stop on your own will? Like, just tell the truth. Like, can you say, I'm only gonna have 1 today? And they'll either say yes, right? And then that question will lead on to what happens to you after you've only had that 1 and it's worn off. I get restless, I get irritable, I get discontent, I get annoyed with everything and everybody. Like, for example, being forced to go to a family event.
Sure.
And you know that if you have too many drinks, you're gonna ruin the event. So you're like, konatre, sawa baby, konatre. Mara no blom me da after 3 mutao bizo gari fanta man.
Yeah. You know? Like, hey man, but for my kids, what's going on with this guy?
Quanti. Trying his best not to get drunk.
Oh man.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Man.
So trying his best not to get drunk. You know what I mean? So that's that's like when I'm presented with the idea that I'm powerless over my addiction, and I start accepting the fact that my unmanageability, the fact that I've gone through all these insane consequences and circumstances as a result of me prioritizing one thing, right? Prioritizing my next hit over being a dad, over being a partner, over being a functional member in society, over being a rap producer, over being, do you know what I mean? The fact that I prioritize what's going in my body so I can show up for today, so I can regulate my today. It was a painful, it was a hard experience.
Man.
When I realized that I'm shackled, a friend of mine said, it felt like I was shackled by the soul. It's something which I realized being in the music industry myself. Look, if your life is entertainment, what goes up must come down. And the come down is just as exciting for people that are watching as the come up. Like, when I realized, like, ain't nothing going on here but the weather, man. Like, I was once nominated for Producer of the Year at the Hype Awards.
Yeah.
I was once having the #1 song in such a station. I was once on the radio. That was then. You know what I mean? What's going on today? Let me take a real stock of my life right fucking now. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it was a hard... I had this conversation with a good friend of mine, like, remember that day you woke up and realized that you were irrelevant?
Bro.
You know what I mean?
Bro.
Remember that day you woke up and you realized that you were no longer relevant? You know what I mean? And for me, like, even that thought fueled my addiction.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to persist with the delusion and, like, persist with the idea that I'm that good and that, like, you need me on your project, right? Because I couldn't deal with the fact that I may possibly have not released music in 4, 5, 6, 7 years at the time, right?
Man.
I'm actually irrelevant. Like, these kids don't know me. You know what I mean? Only my peers know me. Only the people I came up with know me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, whatever I'm doing isn't making me money. It's not feeding a family. And I had to repurpose and reinvent myself, right? Today, my most important thing is my recovery.
Yes, sir.
Dog. It's the most important thing in my life. My girl's in recovery. Do you know what I mean? I'm in recovery.
Wow.
My work, I work in recovery. Look, like I said, tomorrow I'll be 5 years. 5 years sober. If I don't drink today, I'll be 5 years tomorrow. You know what I mean? And that's not even the important thing. It's just like the way the trajectory of my life, if I keep my recovery at center. And for me, the 12 steps have helped me come into conscious contact with a power greater than myself. They've helped me, I don't want to say fix, because I did not fix anything. God did. You know what I mean? But they put me into conscious contact with that power. You know, that has to do the same thing that alcohol did for me.
Man.
You know what I mean? So if I need courage, I need to turn to God. You know what I mean? If I'm going for a job interview, I'm not gonna go via Tops and have a nip of vodka. You know? And when you saw me earlier and you're like, let's go, I'm like, I'm writing. I wasn't writing rhymes. You know, I was getting rid of all the stuff that I was fearing for this moment, and I was writing it to God, you know? And the reason I'm writing it to God, because He can do something about it. Me, I'm already here on this planet. I don't know what's about to go in. Ideally, I'd like this to happen, but if it goes badly and I embarrass myself, will I drink? I don't know, but I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want to drink. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, for somebody that knows how to make alcohol and substances their God, you know, I actually have to fucking connect with a real and true creator. You know what I mean? And you said, like, staying sharp, no, staying authentic. Am I aligned? Am my actions aligned with what God would have me be today? You know? Are my words honest and true? You know? I've held back on mentioning people's names. I've held back on certain experiences because I wouldn't want to embarrass. This is my story. And I'm also not doing this like, please don't look at me like a victim, you know? I survived addiction. You know, and I'm saying to anybody that's out there in the music industry and any creatives out there, guess what? It can happen for you. You don't have to die the alcoholic or that addictive death. You know,
you can get better.
You can get better,
man.
About the professionals, they matter. They can help. Dependent on how much you're looking for help.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately, it's like, if you see me with that buzzer TV, like the big ass TV, right? And I ask you for help, I have to accept the help the way you present it. I can't dictate to you how you must help me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear you, bro.
This thing is a spiritual illness. But if you go to the DSM-5, you'll actually find substance abuse disorder as a very real disease, right? Anybody that wants to find out more, please Google it. I'm not a professional in that sense. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Man, we're getting that in the show notes, man. Make sure you go over there and read up on that.
Yeah. The DSM-5, under substance abuse disorder. It's a very real disease, right? My experience has been when I straighten out spiritually, then I straighten out mentally, and then I straighten out physically.
You talk about the fam now, you know, welcoming you back and everything.
Yeah.
I want to ask about the homies that you hung out with now. So people that you either did drugs, drank with, and all of that. You know, how did they kind of receive, or how do they receive you now, bro? Do you even see those people still?
I see some of them. I see some of them. I got my big homies in the industry, and I'm proud of them because they did something which I only dreamt of doing. You know, and they know who they are. You know, they know who they are. I'm proud of them.
Yes, sir.
Like guys who I came up with in high school, rapping in ciphers, like doing talent shows. You know, I got every single one of you that are watching this. I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? And I see them, you know? But I remember that first year, because I knew the nature of what's going on in the studios, at the clubs, you know, the suggestion was, don't set foot in the studio, don't set foot in the club. In fact, they told me, like, you only have to change one thing. And I'm like, what's that? Everything. I can't rap no more. I can't listen to rap no more. I can't produce no more.
Man.
It was only for that period of time. And so I told my homies, I'm like, listen, guys, I'm on this journey of like getting sober and I'm going to be doing this. I love you guys, but I'm not going to see you for a short period.
Sure.
That short period turned out to be almost 2 years.
Man.
You know what I mean? I saw some of them, you know, we're bumping into each other at the mall. But like, another thing about my drinking homies, right? The ones that I drank hard with, that I used hard with, they're not the type who I'd say to, hey, let's catch breakfast at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
10 a.m. can I go babalas for you?
Still sleeping.
You know what I mean?
Like, we like, oh, God, bro. Like, we're still waiting to catch more drinks. Like, 1 hour after. Like,
hard, you know? So, like, even till this day, you know, like, let's go for and I like to fuck with them. Let's go for a smoothie.
Oh, man.
Let's go for a milkshake. I'm like, what the fuck is this nigga talking about? Let's go for a green juice. You know? What's this guy talking about?
Detox your body today.
Let's go for a green juice and a hike, dog. How's that? You know what I mean?
Man.
You know what I mean?
Man.
I don't want to do that. You know?
I love it, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
But it's okay, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
My consequences and my circumstances got me to a point where I needed to get help. And I needed to accept and use that help the way it's presented.
Yes, sir.
And how it was presented was treatment for 21 days. I did a halfway house for 17 months.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was being regularly tested. You know, there was something that happened in the beginning called financial disempowerment. I had to ask for my own money from another guy, you know, and I had to present receipts, you know.
Wow.
And the reason being, like, look, if I have too much money, like, especially since considering I came in thinking that my problem was that I don't have $1 million.
Sure.
If I had $1 million when I was 1 month, I was 1 month
would have been
sober,
a problem.
I would have had 1 million reasons, right? To actually, 1 million ways to actually go kill myself. 1 million ways to actually go get drunk off my skull, you know? To actually go get high off my tree. Do you know what I mean? So I needed to, like, but like what happens is that the process of me surrendering to the help was, it helped me undo some of my beliefs of what life is.
Yeah.
Like waking up in the morning, making one's bed.
Sure.
Actually taking care of one's hygiene. You know, actually showing up on time, actually going to work, actually going to school, you know, actually putting aside time to spend with my son, actually spending time with my mom, with my dad, you know, actually being there and available for when my family needs me, my sisters and my brother. Do you know what I mean? Actually, do you know what I mean? Like, just undoing that whole super thug person.
There's no need for it no more, bro. Yeah.
It wasn't even real. It wasn't even real. I fell for the hype. I fell for the hype. I believed my own bullshit. You know what I mean? And I believed it all the way till the wheels fell off. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, bro.
No, for real talk. I bought into my own bullshit. Do you know what I mean? When you're a rapper, if you're on a billboard, guess what you are? You're just an advertisement.
That's it.
That's
man.
it.
Nothing more than that, bro.
What about the family, man? You know? What about the son? What about the brother? What about, you know? Especially when half my job is to dazzle when I'm off stage. Because I can't live on stage. You know what I mean? Half my job is to dazzle off stage. So what's real and what's fake?
Yo.
And by the way, I'm high all the time. I'm drunk all the time. So what's real and what's fake? I remember one of the hardest questions I asked myself is, if I drop dead, which one of these niggas would show up at my funeral? And I could probably count them on one hand.
Because you know it's not real there, man. Oh, man. Man, Ootz, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're dropping some, man, you know, very important things, man. And, you know, there's so many other things that we can touch on in this conversation, man. But I wanna just close off now, because I can see you, bro. You've got the stories, and I really appreciate you for being so open about it. You know, the fact that I know you, or I actually discovered that I know you through music, and to find out that music actually caused a lot of pain in your life, bro.
Can I just cut in there?
Yeah,
it didn't cause a lot of pain. The disease, my addiction almost stole my talent. It almost stole my dreams. Today I'm making music again.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I went to sold all my equipment and active, right? So now in the last 5 years, I've been rebuilding. I've got myself 2 samplers. I got myself a nice little mic. I got my sound card. I got a Mac. I got a laptop. I got MIDI controllers, synthesizers.
Yes,
I'm working on new music, you
Yes,
know?
sir.
I don't know what it looks like yet, you know, but like I'm starting to reuse that talent that God gave me, you know? Because I know it's a way for me to express myself, you know what I mean? And like, I'm trying to like, deal with less of the lie and more of like the true and authentic. And it's it's a thin line because I like rap music, right?
Sure.
And I like skills, and there's always got to be braggadocio and bravado. I'm the illest, right? How do I balance that with something that's real, you know? And by the way, we're in South Africa, so I'm not gonna be doing like no Eminem show where I'm talking foul about people that I know personally. You know, we're in a very conservative society. You know, besides from conservative, like to disrespect family members on songs, is not cool.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that, you know?
Yeah.
But how do I relay my emotions, whether it be pain, whether it be joy, whether it be excitement, whether it be without like how does the persona and the person become the same thing? You know? That's just my challenge today, you know. And these are nice life problems. These are nice life.
Nah, it's like I'm trying to balance these things out.
I can call it the I don't kolota. Mfonele kuvutse hore akukoloti. You know what I mean?
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not mutoke mutawang. I'm not shit bagging half the people I know. In fact, like my whole entire life today is just to be useful. You know,
you want to be of service to folk,
man. Like as I mentioned, I work in a treatment center, right? God put me in a position where without a qualification, I can work at one of the best treatment centers in this city. Do you know what I mean? Without no qualification. My only qualification is that I'm in recovery, I work 12 steps. And I have a passion for working with artists. Do you know what I mean? That's it. That's it. Even the useless can be of use. You know what I'm saying?
Shit. Ootz, bro. Man, I appreciate you, Maji. Man, you gave me quite a lot to think about. And, you know, whoever is listening to this, man, I think you either know someone who's either addicted, maybe you are addicted yourself, you got a family member or someone, you know. Maybe share this with them, you know, sit down, listen to it, maybe your own takeaways from it, and try to see how you can be useful in someone else's life, you know, in terms of understanding what they're dealing with, right? And not just looking at it from a lens of,
it's been bewitched.
Yeah, I think let's get rid of that.
Let's get rid of that.
Let's get rid of that.
Because it's the same shit that people that go through depression.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We really need to get like much more educated about a lot of our social ills. I mean, in fact, now I'm looking at Nyaupe right now, and addiction doesn't get, I mean, I'm sure it gets deeper, but man, when I see people on Nyaupe, bro, I'm going to actually go after this, right? I know I'm gonna see guys I went to high school with, people I played soccer with, you know, people I know, bro, who are looking at me like, man, bro, and I'm like, nah, dude, what are you talking about?
You're my Chrotman. Well, you're supposed to be my Chrotman.
What's going on, man? So, you know, I'm gonna go talk to those guys and see them, you know, in a much different lens, especially because I just had this conversation with them, and I appreciate you for that, bro. I want to get you back on here. And, you know, we got a men's group as well. So I want you to break down some of your ideas and concepts to the guys, man. And if you are, you know, keen to do it, man, welcome to the Manned Up alumni.
I'm here.
And let's do this thing, bro.
Let's get it.
You know, so you're looking for some help, man. Highlight my man Ootz. We'll share can you share your contacts, your details and that?
Look, yes, share my contacts. If anybody's looking for help with addiction, you know, I work in a treatment center, like I said, you know, but if there's no money to actually pay for the treatment center or no medical aid, there's still help through SANCA as an organization, South African National, whatever.
Something association.
SANCA, but I know the SANCA works closely with the government rehabs. They help people get into government facilities free of charge, so long as you have a South African ID. I work at Changes Addictions Rehab. So, like, my team is amazing. It's not my team, but, like, the people I work with, like, inspiring, they're crazy professional, they're crazy experienced in the field. You know what I mean? And, like, I'm seeing people get help every day, you know. And the thing is, you don't have to die. And the suffering is unnecessary. You know, life is actually worth living. And actually, you do deserve to live. And your family do deserve you as a son. and your son deserves you as a father. Your daughter deserves you as a father or a mother. You know what I mean? Actually, whatever story you're telling yourself that makes you believe that you don't deserve to actually live, and you need to use whatever it is that you're trying to escape that's putting you back into a bottle. You know, it's not true. It's not happening. You know, what's happening right now at this moment is that you're listening to this podcast, and I hope that you feel empowered enough to make the right phone calls. Yeah. If it's a phone call, if it's a Google, you feel empowered enough to actually go seek help. You know, and the help is there. Is there anybody? No addict no addict has to die from this illness.
Man.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Let's enjoy this life, man. Let's live, man. Let's achieve, man. Let's grow, man. Let's make this money. You know, let's express our talents, guys. I mean, we like Ootz said something, man. That potential is just sitting in there. You know, there are a lot of guys out there in the streets and everywhere. Man, let's not even talk about the guys on the streets. There are people in their homes right now, man, doing all kinds of things because you can't see them. But bro, wherever you're hiding in your little corner, in your little space, man, there's a lot of life for you out there. There's people who love, who encourage you, who want to see you do good, who want to see you get healthy, who want to see you be that person that you want to be, right? Not what the world wants you to be, but who you want to be. So man, do the right thing, man. And make sure, obviously, you know, support us, man. Manned Up Conversations is the channel. Make sure you follow us on our social media. We got a blog set up right now, so we got some cool articles coming out. I'm going to be sharing quite a bit of snippets from my interview with the homie Ootz. You'll catch that. I won't give you a date, but yeah, you already know, man. Stay tuned. And it's been a lot of fun. Peace and love.
Yes. Thank you.